Okay, so inside every company, you've got this ultimate power duo, the director and the company's secretary. You can think of one as the visionary, and the other, well, they're the backbone holding everything up. But how does this partnership actually work? Let's break it down.
So let me ask you, who really runs a company? Your first thought is probably some big-shot CEO in a corner office, right? Making all the calls. But what if I told you that's not the full story? That the real power, the real engine room, is actually a legally required partnership? Yeah, the truth is way more interesting than the stereotype.
See, it's just not about one person at the top. Great leadership, it's never a solo performance. It's a team effort, and in this case, it's a team the law demands. You've got this dynamic duo right at the heart of everything, and if you really want to get how a company works, you've got to understand their different jobs. All right, so let's meet our power couple. First up, we've got the director. Think of them as the brains of the operation. They're all about strategy, the big vision, the long-term plan. Then you've got the company secretary. They're the backbone. They're the ones making sure the whole thing doesn't fall apart by handling all the rules, the paperwork, the governance. Seriously, one just can't work without the other.
So let's dig into how we even got here. It's a pretty wild story, especially when you find out one of these roles went from being seen as just a glorified assistant to a major power player.
I mean, check this out. We're talking way back in 1887. The courts literally called the company's secretary a mere servant. Their whole job was just do what you're told. It was basically a clerk's job with zero real power.
Okay, now jump forward to 1971. The picture could not be more different. Suddenly, the courts are calling the company secretary the chief administrative officer, a real official with massive responsibilities and the power to act for the company. That change from servant to officer, it's everything. It's the foundation of how modern companies are run.
All right, so we've established these are two really important roles. But who can actually get these jobs? It's not like you can just raise your hand. The law is super specific about who's in and who is definitely out.
Let's start with the basics. The law sets the bare minimum. If you're a private company, you need at least one director. A public company, you need two. Makes sense, right? More shareholders, more oversight needed. It's the absolute baseline.
Okay, now for the nitty-gritty qualifications. For both jobs, you gotta be over 18. Simple enough. But that's where the similarities kind of end. A director, they just need to generally live in Malaysia. But the company's secretary, whoa, the bar is way higher. They have to be a citizen or a permanent resident, plus they need to be professionally licensed or part of a specific professional body. Big difference. And just like there are rules for who's in, there are some major red flags that will get you kicked out before you even start. You're automatically out if you're an undischarged bankrupt or if you've been convicted of something serious like fraud or bribery. The whole system is basically designed to weed out anyone who's already proven they can't be trusted. So, you qualify. How do you get in? And just as important, how do you get out? It's not like giving 2 weeks' notice at a regular job. This is all super formal, laid out by the law to keep things stable. Getting appointed is a whole process, right? First, the board or the members have to officially decide you're the one. Then, you have to give your written consent, actually agree to do it. And, super important, you have to declare you're not disqualified for any of those reasons we just talked about. Once all that's done, the company makes it official by telling the registrar, boom, you're in. And hey, the clock is ticking. You can actually start a company without a secretary in place, but you've got exactly 30 days to appoint one. That just shows you how critical that role is, right from day one, to keep the company on the straight and narrow. Getting out is just as structured as getting in. Both can quit, obviously, but getting fired, that's different for each role. A director can be removed by the shareholders. A simple majority vote does the trick. But the company secretary? They're usually removed by the board of directors, which makes sense since the board is the one that hired them in the first place. Okay, now we get to the heart of it. What do these people actually do all day? And this isn't some fluffy job description. We're talking about legally required duties, and if you mess them up, there are some pretty serious consequences. For a director, their duties are literally written into the law. It all boils down to two huge concepts: a fiduciary duty and a duty of care. You can think of these as the two giant pillars holding up every single decision they make. They're non-negotiable. So let's unpack that. Fiduciary duty, that's a fancy way of saying you have to put the company first, always. You have to act honestly and in the company's best interest, not your own. It also means you have to steer clear of any conflicts of interest. Then there's the duty of care.
That just means you can't be lazy. You can't be asleep at the wheel. You have to pay attention, be informed, and actually, do the job.
And now for the backbone. The company's secretary is the ultimate guardian of the rules. They're the ones keeping all the official records straight, making sure every legal form is filed on time, and making sure all the big meetings, board meetings, shareholder meetings, run without a hitch. Honestly, without them, the whole legal and admin side of a company would just crumble.
And here is a really, really important rule to remember. These two jobs have to stay separate. The law is crystal clear. If a document needs a signature from a director and a secretary, one person cannot sign as both. You can't wear both hats at the same time. It's a simple but absolutely vital check and balance.
But, being a great leader isn't just about ticking legal boxes. It's about ethics. It's about doing the right thing. And that's where the code of ethics enters the picture.
Think of this code as a moral compass for the company's leaders. It's all about making sure both directors and secretaries act like true professionals, with integrity and accountability. It's about going way beyond just the minimum the law requires.
The big ideas in the code are probably what you'd guess. Be transparent, have integrity, be accountable. But there's also a huge growing focus on sustainability. We're talking about ESG. That's environmental, social, and governance. It means leaders have to think about the company's impact on the world around it.
And let's be clear, in this day and age, this stuff is non-negotiable. The code makes it plain that directors and secretaries have to be proactive. They have to build systems to prevent awful stuff like corruption and money laundering. It's not good enough to just not be corrupt yourself. You have to actively fight against it within the company.
So, we've gone through this whole maze of rules, laws, and codes. It kind of leaves you with a big question, doesn't it? At the end of the day, what's more important for a company to succeed? Having the most perfect, detailed process written down on paper, or just having good people with real integrity running the show? Something to think about.